All right, let's talk about the real battlefield in PC gaming, the mid-range. This is where most of us live, and today, we've got a heavyweight title fight on our hands. In one corner, the reigning champ, the GeForce RTX 3060 Ti, and in the other, the high-tech challenger, the RTX 4060 Ti. Let's see who comes out on top. Welcome to the Bay. So in one corner, you've got the Ampere veteran, the RTX 3060 Ti. And look, this card is a legend for a reason, right? It's been the absolute go-to for rock-solid 1440p gaming for what feels like forever. Then, in the other corner, we have the Ada newcomer, the RTX 4060 Ti. This thing's totally different. It's leaner, it's built on a brand new architecture, and it is just packed with all the latest features. So what's gonna win? Old school muscle or new school smarts? Let's dive in. Okay, let's get right to it. Round one, raw performance. We're gonna strip away all the fancy new tech for a second and just look at one thing, pure, raw frames per second. You know, the stuff that really matters. This is all about gaming horsepower. First up, we're throwing a real beast at them. Cyberpunk 2077, 1440p high settings. The 3060 Ti, hey, it holds its own with a respectable 62 FPS. That's a totally solid experience. But the 4060 Ti just pulls ahead, hitting a much smoother 70 FPS. And trust me, in a game this demanding, you can absolutely feel that 8-frame difference. So what about the competitive scene? Let's jump into Warzone, where, every single frame counts. The 3060 Ti is putting up a fantastic 120 FPS, but the 4060 Ti just edges it out, pushing all the way to 132. Now, if you're rocking a high refresh monitor, that extra 12 FPS, yeah, that can be a genuine competitive advantage. And then we've got something a bit lighter, like Fortnite. And here, the gap actually gets even bigger. We're talking 145 FPS for the 3060 Ti versus a blazing 160 for the 4060 Ti. This is where you can really see the new architecture and those higher clock speeds on the 40 series just flex their muscles, especially in games that are all about pushing for crazy high frame rates. Okay, so after round one, the picture is pretty darn clear, isn't it? Looking across a bunch of modern games, the RTX 4060 Ti is consistently about 10 to 15% faster in raw performance. Look, it's not a mind-blowing, revolutionary leap, but it's a clean, decisive win for the newcomer when it comes to pure FPS. But hey, as any of us who've built a PC lately know, a GPU isn't just about frame rates anymore. So let's get into round two, new tech and features. This is where we go beyond the benchmarks and start talking about what really makes these new cards, well, new. We're talking future-proofing, cool new tricks, all that good stuff. And right here, this is the 4060 Ti's secret weapon. It's ace in the hole, DLSS 3 frame generation. Guys, this is a total game changer. It's this wild AI-powered feature that's only on the 40 series cards, and it literally creates brand new frames out of thin air and slots them in between the real ones. The result is just a massive, almost magical boost in how smooth the game feels. The frame rates just skyrocket. And this really shows you the generation gap we're talking about. The 3060 Ti, to be fair, has great DLSS 2 upscaling and that wider 256-bit memory bus, which is a big deal. But the 4060 Ti, with its Ada architecture, just brings so much more to the table. You get that exclusive DLSS 3 we just talked about, plus way better ray tracing cores. It's the more modern, more advanced piece of tech. Simple as that. Okay, so performance is up, features are awesome, but all that comes at a cost, right? And that cost is power. So let's talk about efficiency. How much juice do these things actually need? And what does that mean for your PC case, your cooling, and yeah, your power bill? So the old champ, the RTX 3060 Ti, usually pulls about 200 watts. Totally normal for its time, A solid performer that's a little thirsty for power. Now, get this. The RTX 4060 Ti, even though it's faster, only sips about 160 watts. That is a 40-watt drop. That's the magic of this new Ada architecture in a nutshell. More performance for way less power. And what does that mean for you? Well, it means less heat, which means quieter fans, and a much easier time for your power supply. So what does that actually mean when you're putting your rig together? Well, for a 3060 Ti, you're probably looking at a 600-watt power supply. But the 4060 Ti, it's perfectly happy with just 550 watts. I know, it doesn't sound like a huge difference, but that can save you a few bucks on your PSU And it gives you way more breathing room if you're trying to build in one of those tiny, small form factor cases. Okay, we've covered performance, we've covered the cool new tech, we've covered efficiency. Now it's time for the main events, the thing that matters most to a lot of us: value. Which one of these cards actually gives you the most bang for your buck? And here's where things get interesting, because there isn't one single winner here. It's a bit of a twist. Honestly, the smartest buy totally depends on what the prices are like on the day you're actually buying. If they cost the same, go for the 4060 Ti, no question. But if you can find a sweet deal on a 3060 Ti, maybe a sale or even on the used market, then it can absolutely be the better value proposition. So, since there's no one-size-fits-all answer, let's make this about you. It's time to figure out which card is the perfect match for the kind of gamer you are. We're going to run through a few common types of builders to help you pick a winner for your corner. Okay, first up, are you the high-refresh competitive gamer? Is your #1 goal just cranking out the highest possible FPS in games like Warzone or Apex? Do you want DLSS 3 to kind of future-proof your rig? If that's you, then stop thinking about it. The RTX 4060 Ti is your card. Its raw speed and new tech make it a no-brainer. All right, next profile, the 1440p Value Hunter. Is this you? You want awesome 1440p gaming, but you're not trying to pay extra for all the latest bells and whistles. You're hunting for deals, you're checking the used market, and you just want great raw performance. If that's you, a discounted RTX 3060 Ti is an absolutely killer find. It'll serve you so well. And last but not least, the energy-conscious builder. Maybe you're building in a super small case with not a lot of airflow. Or maybe you just really want a system that's cool and quiet. If that sounds like you, the choice is simple. The incredible efficiency of the RTX 4060 Ti makes it the undisputed champ for anyone worried about heat and power draw. Now look, this has been a quick flyover of the big picture, but GPU prices, they change literally every single day. So for a much deeper dive, all the benchmark data, and the absolute latest pricing, you've got to check out the full guide over at bestgpusforgaming.com. So hopefully you've got a winner picked out, but I want to leave you with one last thing to think about. You might have found the perfect GPU for today, but what about the rest of your build? Is your CPU, your RAM, your storage, is all of that ready for what's coming next? Just remember, a balanced rig is always a powerful rig. Keep it cool and keep building.